Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the key on millions.co. Here is my media feed, and here is my profile so that you will know it's me. Here's my profile so that you will know it's me. And we also have merchandise, live merchandise that is on millions.co. And you can purchase it at any time, no matter what time it is. You can always purchase it. And we are going to be rolling out new merchandise as the year goes along. So now, the team that I want to talk about today is the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Denver Nuggets, they are a team right now that are in the third spot in the West. And like I've been saying over the past month and a half, anybody can come out of the West. But let's see how the Denver Nuggets roster looks because it's been quite a few players coming in and out of the lineup. So, first off, we have Tamar Bates, Christian Braun, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, Tim Hardaway Jr., Deron Holmes II, Cameron Johnson, Nikola Jokic, Curtis Jones, Spencer Jones, Jamal Murray, Zeke Naji, Jalen Pickett, Julian Swather, Jonas Valanciunas, and Peyton Watson. Now, this team looks very different from their championship team a couple of years ago. Now, let's get to these statistics. We all know that these statistics is going to be, we all know who leads the Denver Nuggets. It's Nikola Jokic, and then there's Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. Now, I believe that that is a big three. That is the big three in Denver. Nikola Jokic, he averages 28.7 points per game. Jamal Murray, 25.7. Aaron Gordon, 17.7. Watson, P. Watson, 14.9. Tim Hardaway Jr., 14.1. Cameron Johnson, 11.5. Christian Braun, 9.9. Jonas Valanciunas, 9.1. Bruce Brown, 7.5. Julian Swather, 6.3. S. Jones, 6 points. Jalen Pickett, 5.4. Zeke Naji, 4.2. D. Holmes II, 3.9. H. Tyson, 2.2. And C. Jones, 1.5. Now, if anybody was looking at First Take yesterday and everybody saw what Stephen A. Smith had as his top 5 contenders for the NBA Finals, right? Well, my list is very, very different from his. Because at first I have the Oklahoma City Thunder at 1, top list of top 5 contenders to make it to the NBA Finals. I got Oklahoma at 1. I got Boston at 2. Now, the reason why I put Boston at 2 is because we all know that the Detroit Pistons, they look good and stuff and all that. But when it comes to them, when it comes to getting into the playoffs and going into later rounds in the playoffs, experience plays a factor. Now, we all know that the New York Knicks is out there, but I'm not quite sold on the Knicks. Now, the one team that is in the top 3 of the East that I could say that I am comfortably and I have the utmost confidence in is Boston, because Jason Tatum, allegedly speaking, he is penciled to come back in. He is penciled to come back March 1st. So if I was Boston, I would put him on a minutes restriction, 20 to 25 minutes, and let's see what he can do for those final 3 weeks of the season going into the playoffs. But back to what I was saying. So Stephen A. had Cleveland, Detroit, New York. He had the Nuggets, and he also had OKC on there. Now, what I have a problem with is, like I said, that list is okay, but Minnesota is still out there. Denver, we already know Denver is up and down. Boston, they are still out there. I'm not gonna put Detroit over Boston just yet. And also the Spurs. Now I understand that OKC is the defending champion and all, but the Spurs are right there on their heels. So that translates into what I'm going to talk about when it comes to the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Denver Nuggets, they are third in the West right now. And as you can see, they're scoring outside of their scoring is at a premium outside of Jokic, Murray, and Gordon because the bench production for the Denver Nuggets is up and down, and it's been up and down all season. It has been. And as you look at their depth, I'm gonna just say this: as you look at their depth, you see where from their starting lineup to the last guy on the bench, we all know that that is not going to be, a consistent scoring output. But starting lineup, you have Murray, Christian Braun, Cameron Johnson, Spencer Jones, who is out right now, and Nikola Jokic. Now, Denver, one thing that I believe Denver, they are not going to make it to the NBA Finals. And the reason why I say this is because I could see the Spurs beating the Nuggets in the playoffs. I could see the Houston Rockets beating the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs. I can see the Oklahoma City Thunder beating the Nuggets in the playoffs. I'm just going to show y'all there are some teams that are in front of the Nuggets, the Spurs and Thunder, they can beat the Nuggets, and there are a few teams behind the Nuggets that can beat them. I can see Minnesota beating the Nuggets in the playoffs. I could see the Phoenix Suns, if they get on a good foot and beat the Nuggets in the playoffs. Now, if the Nuggets and Warriors play each other, if that somehow happens, then it's pretty much a pick'em, a pick'em series because Golden State. Now, credit Golden State. I don't see them getting past the play-in tournament. So this is just hypotheticals. I'm dealing with hypotheticals right now. But as far as Denver, if the playoffs were to start tomorrow, Denver would be facing Minnesota. And ladies and gentlemen, I would pick Minnesota in that series. Even though Minnesota would be the underdog. But let me tell you something. I did a segment on Minnesota earlier this week. Minnesota, they defend better than the Nuggets. They have better bench production than the Nuggets. So, and it goes back to what I've been saying about the Denver Nuggets. We all know that the Denver Nuggets over the past few years, ever since they won their championship, they've really been on a downward cycle, because they got rid of their head coach in Michael Malone. You got this new guy. You got this new head coach. Let's see. The name of the new head coach. I know it, but yeah, Dave Adelman. Yeah. So you got rid of Michael Malone for David Adelman, and I can say since that new coaching hire, what has the Denver Nuggets really done? I mean, I know it happened late in the season last year, but David Adelman, it seemed like he doesn't have much enthusiasm, and it seems like that when you get to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, it's like if Jokic and Murray aren't on their game, it just seems like it's just over for the Nuggets, and even before the game starts. And what I mean by that is we know that Murray and Jokic, they like to score the ball with high level efficiency. And what I mean by high level efficiency, you can on a typical night, Jamal Murray, he can have, let's say, about 32, 35 points on 17 of 25 shooting. And there could be other nights where Jamal Murray, he doesn't have a good night, where he is 9 of 25 shooting and only have 18 points. And that's vice versa for Nikola Jokic. So the Denver Nuggets, I'm going to just say this, the Denver Nuggets, they have some tough sledding when it comes to the second half. Well, this is not really the second half of the NBA season. I believe that all of the teams, they only have 25 to about 30 games left. So this I'm going to say this 3/4 and a half left of the season, the Denver Nuggets, like I said, it is going to be all about seeing who can stay hot at the right time, because I'm going to tell y'all something. When it comes to the West, anybody, and I do mean anybody that goes on I'm going to say a 12-game winning streak in the West. Now, I know that is almost impossible, but I'm going to just lower it down. Like, goes on a 5, 6, maybe 7-game winning streak. You could be you could be at number 6, and then after that 7-game winning streak, you could be in the top 2 in the West. And that's exactly how the West has been played out over the past, I'm just going to say 10 years. Because it seems like anybody, and I do mean anybody, can come out of the West. OKC can come out of the West. San Antonio can come out of the West. The Rockets can come out of the West. Hell, even the Lakers can come out of the West. And we know how bad the Lakers have been over these past 2.5 months. And not to slide out Minnesota, Phoenix, or either one of these other teams. And the Clippers, they have to do a whole lot more. But to the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Denver Nuggets, let's just say this, hypothetically speaking. The Denver Nuggets, they win versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. The next playoff team that they would face the winner of, let's say these are just potential playoff matchups. The winner, the Denver Nuggets would face the winner of the Houston Rockets and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, we know that for the past 3 years, the Los Angeles Lakers, they haven't been able to get over the hump when it comes to the Denver Nuggets. But dare I say it, America, I believe the Denver Nuggets, if they get into a matchup with the Rockets or the Lakers, it's not going to be a foregone conclusion like it's been the last few years. It's not. Now, the last few things that I am going to say about the Nuggets, I am going to talk about their schedule and how they started off a little bit cold when it comes to the start of the season. And we all know that basically the Denver Nuggets, they have been a good team on the road and at home. I mean, they've only had within the first month of the season, they only had 6 losses, and those 6 losses came between Golden State, Chicago. The reason why the Nuggets lost versus Chicago, they had a bad shooting night from the 3-point line. And then you get to Sacramento. Well, Sacramento, one of your division rivals. So then you get to San Antonio. San Antonio is going to be one of those teams that are going to make it to the playoffs no matter what. Dallas, hey, that was a one-off. Then we get to late December, where they start losing 2 or 3 games here and there. And then we get to this month. Now, the start of this month, they lost 3 straight. They lost 3 straight. They lost to Oklahoma, Detroit, New York, won versus Chicago, lost versus Cleveland, and last week they won versus Memphis. So now coming back tomorrow night, the Denver Nuggets, they play the LA Clippers. Now, we all know that the LA Clippers, I did a segment on them a couple weeks ago. The LA Clippers, they hold the best record since December 23rd. The Clippers have won 21 of their last 27 games. They are 21-6 in their last 27. And the Clippers are projected to have one of the remaining play-in tournament spots. So now, as we look at that and we see where the Denver Nuggets are, what separates the Denver Nuggets between the LA Clippers, it's only 9 games. Only a 9-game lead from the 3rd spot in the West to the 10th spot in the West. So that's why I said that there is no gray area for any one of these teams in the West if they're trying to get to where they want to get to. So the Nuggets, they have the Clippers tomorrow night. Then here's their remaining schedule. And they got quite a few tough opponents. You have the Clippers tomorrow night. You have the Boston Celtics next Wednesday. You have the Oklahoma City Thunder next Friday. Minnesota, Los Angeles Lakers. You have the Knicks. You have Oklahoma, Houston. You have San Antonio. You have Philadelphia. You have the Lakers again on March 14th. Then we get to the final. I'm just going to say we get to the final week of the season because it's just going to be a bunch of, alternate games. You have Phoenix. Then you have Dallas. You have Golden State again. You have San Antonio, OKC, and then on the last day of the regular season, you have San Antonio again. So as far as the Denver Nuggets, let's see, they have 35 wins at this current moment in time in the regular season. I could see the Denver Nuggets, I could see them winning another 18 games, ending the season with 53 wins. I could see that. But let me tell you all something about their as far as this team historically in the playoffs, outside of that one year where they made it to the championship and won, it has been relatively bleak for the Denver Nuggets. So I'm going to show y'all historical context for the Denver Nuggets. Now, Denver Nuggets, well, first off, the Denver Nuggets, they started off as the Denver Rockets back in 1967. They didn't change their name to the Denver Nuggets until 1975. And the Denver Nuggets, they were a part of the ABA from 67 to 74. And then they get to 70, then they become the Denver Nuggets in 74. And they got to the playoffs. They got to the playoffs. They lost to the Pacers. And that was mainly what they did from the 70s on. 70s they lost to 75, they lost to the Pacers. 76 they lost to the Nets in the ABA finals. Then you get to 77 where the Trailblazers won over the Nuggets. 78 the Seattle Supersonics won over the Denver Nuggets. 79 the Nuggets lose to the Lakers. For most of the 80s, they didn't make any hay in the playoffs. It was always playoff exits. The 90s, bunch of playoff exits. Then we get to the early 2000s. This was the Carmelo Anthony years. Didn't get past the second round. Then 2009, you get to the Western Conference Finals and you play the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. They lost to the Lakers. And then for about and then afterwards, for the next 4 seasons, you lose in the first round each year to the Jazz, Thunder, Lakers, Warriors. And then for about a good 5 years from 2013 to 2018, you don't make the playoffs. And then we get to present times within the last 7 years. From 2018 to present day, they've been in the Nuggets have been in the playoffs every year. 2018, 2019, you win over the Spurs. You won the first round over the Spurs, but you lose in the conference semifinals to the Trailblazers. 2019, 2020, you lose the conference finals to the Lakers. 2021, you lose the conference semifinals to the Suns. 21-22, you lose the first round to the Warriors. 23, 22 and 23, you win your first ever NBA Finals championship over a undermanned Miami Heat team. And let me tell y'all something. I thought that series should have been a sweep. Miami did good getting one game off of the Nuggets. And then we get to 23-24. You lose in the conference semifinals to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last season, 24-25. You win over the Clippers in the first round. You lose to the Thunder in the conference semifinals, which the Thunder would go on to be the eventual NBA champion. And now we get back to the current season at hand, and we get to the finality of my show. The Denver Nuggets are right now 3rd place in the Western Conference. The Denver Nuggets, they have a 43% chance at finishing in 3rd for the Western Conference, and as far as being a top 3 team in the West for the playoffs. Now, do I think that the Denver Nuggets will finish in 3rd place? I don't think so, because I'm looking at what the Rockets have, and it's when it comes to the Lakers, it's all about what type of night the Lakers are going to have. And not to mention the Minnesota Timberwolves. You got the Rockets, Lakers, and the Timberwolves all on the Nuggets' heels right now. And if any one of those three teams, the Rockets, Lakers, or the Timberwolves, go on a winning streak, the Denver Nuggets will fall, and either one of those three teams, the Rockets, Lakers, or the Timberwolves, they will rise up in the standings. So, the Denver Nuggets, they are going to have some tough sledding, and we are getting to that point in the season where every game counts. The difference between losing 2 or 3 games is astronomical in the West, and I'm going to say it's not going to hurt you that much in the East. But the West, anybody can come out of the West. The West is so deep, and it has been deep over the last 10, 15 years, and it will continue to be like that. It will. And with that, that is my remaining season outlook for the Denver Nuggets. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on millions.co. Here is my merchandise. We have live merchandise right here. Here is my media feed. Well, excuse me, here is my profile so that you will know it's me. And here is my media feed. You can keep up with all of my segments from previous shows and from the past few teams that I have been doing season remaining outlooks on. I did one on the Warriors just yesterday. I did one on the Timberwolves last week. I did one on the Rockets and the Suns. And remember, everybody, one last thing. The key is always on time.